All right, everybody, welcome back. Good afternoon. We've got another offensive coordinator candidate to take a look at here, and this is going to be our fourth and final in-house option as I see it. And of the four, I think this is probably the least likely, but he's still worth discussing. And I know we have Dennison as well. I don't think that he's a realistic candidate, so I'm not really going to talk about him at this point. I'll talk about him later if there's a sense that he could actually get it, but this is going to be our fourth and final in-house option for now. It's John Benton, the offensive line coach. He's been around for a long time. He's much older than the other three guys, 62 years old, and he has been coaching offensive lines in this league for a long, long time. I'm not even going to go through his whole career. I'm just going to go over the recent stuff. So just understand that this guy has maybe more experience than the other three guys put together almost. So interesting. All right, guys, hold up because my friends at Sleeper are introducing some new features and I want to tell you guys about them before we go any further. Sleeper is launching Team Picks, a new prediction market product. So now, on top of all the over-unders you can pick over on their Sleeper app, you can now pick on games. For instance, if you take a look to my left on the screen right now, you can see you can make a pick on the Super Bowl. They also have some bonuses available on over-unders for players. So there's now way more stuff you can get up to over on Sleeper. Get on over there before the Super Bowl, and don't forget to use the promo code SBN for a 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. And don't forget to utilize the free $20 entry that you get just for making an account. So the Super Bowl is almost here. Make sure you get on Sleeper and have some fun with sports. All right, so obviously he was the offensive line coach for the Seahawks this most recent year, 2025, and he did very well. The offensive line made big improvements. He did have access to better players than Scott Huff did, but it was still a notable improvement. They were 15th in Pro Football Focus's rankings, and they had two standout players, according to PFF, Charles Cross, Abe Lucas. They 77.6 for Cross, 81 for Abe. Two really good seasons. Abe Lucas in particular was able to not only play really well, but play the whole season. So that was great. Now, the year before that, he was with Kubiak in New Orleans, again as the offensive line coach, 2024. The Saints, their offensive line could not stay healthy. They still ended up ranking 22nd, which is bad, but understandable when you consider all the players they had get hurt. So not great results there, but understandable. And 2023, he actually wasn't coaching. Don't know what happened, but he took that year off. And the years before then, 2021 to 2022, he was the New York Jets offensive line coach, and this was tough, right? 2022, Jets had one of the worst offensive lines in football, 31st on PFF. Their only standout player was Connor McGovern, 69.6, not even that good, right? The year before that, not bad, 11th in PFF grade. They had two notable players, George Fant, 71.1, Morgan Moses, 70.9. So, okay, a little bit better, but man, did the wheels fall off. That 2022 Jets offensive line, about as bad as it gets. I mean, they got, that was the year before. I mean, they did get Zach Wilson beat up, that's for sure. That was the year before they got Rodgers, obviously. Okay, so in the 2 years, or not 2 years, 4 years prior to his work with the Jets, he was under Shanahan with the 49ers. So he is a Shanahan guy in some manner of speaking. And he followed Saleh over to the Jets, I guess, would be the right way to frame that. But the offensive line coach with the 49ers from 2017 to 2020. And there was some good stuff here. 2020, they had a top 10 offensive line by Pro Football Focus, ninth in the league. And they had three really good starters. Trent Williams, who is obviously one of the best left tackles in NFL history. Laken Tomlinson was really good this year, 78.8. And Mike McGlinchey was still a very, very quality starter here, 79.6 at right tackle. 2019 offensive line was 14th, according to PFF. Their one standout player was McGlinchey, 70.6, and this was the team that made the Super Bowl, right? 2018, you had the 15th best offensive line by PFF. Joe Staley was the starter at left tackle this season. He was still really good, 84.7. Mike McGlinchey, 74.8. And Mike Person, kind of a forgotten player, but 71.4. He was good for them. And then 2017, his first year, they were 20th in PFF's rankings. And they had Joe Staley, who was elite, almost a 90. Trent Brown, 73. I think he was the right tackle. So he was also good. And also during this era, you can see improvement every year, 20th, 15th, 14th, 9th. So he did good work in San Fran. He was really good for them. Year before that, 2016, he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars as an assistant offensive line coach for 1 year, 22nd in PFF rankings, so not very good. He did have a few standout players, though. Patrick Omameh, 73.1, so solid. Brandon Linder, one of the better interior linemen of his era, 81.8. And AJ Can, 72.6. So they had good players. It didn't really come together well, but there was some good stuff happening under the covers. Can't really say the same about the Miami Dolphins, though. He was the offensive line coach in Miami for 2 years. I think this was Adam Gase, or at least it was partially Adam Gase, 2014 to 2015. Excuse me. So during this 2-year span, the Dolphins had one of the worst offensive lines in football, 31st, 32nd. Brandon Albert was a pretty decent player for them both years, and they had Mike Pouncey 1 year, who was good, but it was not an offensive line to be proud of. So not necessarily anything thrilling through this run. However, it's the Houston Texans work he did from 2006 to 2013. So that's like pretty much the entire Matt Schaub era. He was the offensive line coach there. So he lasted a very long time in Houston, and he was very good. Those Houston offensive lines were good, and they had a lot of really standout players, including some that he coached up early in their careers. Like starting in, let's go in chronological order this time because it's such a long period of time. 2006, and this predates Pro Football Focus doing offensive line rankings. So I don't have that for 2006, but Chester Pitts, who was one of the elite guards of his era, Mike Flanagan, who was good for them, not stellar, but good, and Fred Weary, really good season for them in 2006. 2007, Chester Pitts is still there, but they add Eric Winston at right tackle, and he was good for them for several years. He was actually a great Texan. One of the better right tackles in the league during that era. 2008, still got Pitts, still got Winston. You add Chris Myers, one of the best centers of his era. And you also get some good play out of Mike Brasile at right guard. So really, really good offensive line being put together here. You can see some of these years, they've got 5 players with PFF grades above 70. 2009, the first year we have Pro Football Focus line rankings, 13th. And this was Dwayne Brown's rookie year. Dwayne Brown would go on to become a great player in this league, but this was his rookie year. Casey Studdard was also good. Chris Myers still. Chris White, very capable right guard. Eric Winston still grinding. The next year, they rank 2nd in PFF, 2nd best offensive line in football. Again, Dwayne Brown, Chris Myers, Mike Brasile, Eric Winston. This year, they add Wade Smith. Elite left guard play. So putting great stuff together. I know these are great players, but a lot of them owe some of their greatness to John Benton. 2011, 5th best offensive line by PFF. Brown, Smith, Myers, Brasile, Winston. 2012, 10th best offensive line. Now they lose some of the pieces. Eric Winston, I think, retired. Mike Brasile left, but Dwayne Brown, Wade Smith, Chris Myers, still an excellent left side of the line. In 2013, this was kind of the year that got everybody fired because Houston was so bad, but their offensive line was not bad at all. 16th best according to PFF. Dwayne Brown was still phenomenal. Wade Smith was good. Chris Myers, one of the best centers in the league. And Brandon Brooks. This was his kind of breakout year, 87.7. And he would go on to become a really, really good right guard for most of his career. So, yeah, It was a phenomenal run for Benton in Houston. Great stuff here. Can't say anything bad about the work that he did in this 8-year run. Some great offensive lines, some of the great offensive line players of the era. Now, before Houston, he was with the Rams for 3 years, back when they were the St. Louis Rams under Mike Martz. So that's where he was before this. I'm not going to go back that far, but this guy's been around for a long time, and you can see the impressive stuff here. You give him good players, he's going to produce good results. And look, Gray Zabel, decent rookie year. It took a while for him to get going. Once he got going, though, he was playing really well. You get Gray Zabel another year under Benton, you might be working on a future Pro Bowl left guard, but you might have to give Benton the promotion to keep him. Who knows? Maybe he's willing to stay anyway. The thing that kind of holds me up here is this guy's been an offensive line coach for a long time, and no one has ever given him offensive coordinator, which tells me that either he doesn't really want it, or it's just one of those things where everybody kind of knows that it's not in his repertoire and they're not going to push it. So that's kind of why I shy away from this one, but he does have a very good resume. I will admit that. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. That is John Benton. We're going to get to some outside guys starting tomorrow. All right. Go Hawks.